Well, big welcome everybody to Marketing for Counsellors, and today I'm going to be talking about the 5 mistakes that counsellors make with their marketing. But don't fear, we're not just going to talk about the mistakes that people make, we're also going to be looking at the solutions so that you don't fall into those same old traps. So those of you that are watching the video, a big hi, proudly here in the Marketing for Counsellors t-shirt, and for those of you that have missed out on our t-shirt competitions before, they're fantastic for walking around the house in, then there'll be some more of those coming up soon. So let's get straight into the information and talk about the 5 mistakes that counsellors typically make. So just quickly run over what the 5 mistakes are. First of all, the marketing is not for me counsellor. And then we're going to move on and talk about the mistakes made by the qualifications counsellor. We're going to talk about the Jack and Jill of all trades counsellor, the commodity counsellor, and the all about me counsellor. So first step then. So the first one, we're going to talk about the marketing is not for me counsellor. And as I'm going around doing the talks around the country and helping counsellors with their marketing, there's always a couple of people who say, well, you know, I know that marketing has worked for these people, but how is it going to work for me? It's not really going to be for me. And a lot of this, when you kind of drill down and look at what's going on for people, it's about confidence. Let's face it, I mean, I'm a counsellor myself, as many of you know, and still do counselling 2 days a week. When I did my counselling course, I was trained to be a counsellor. I wasn't trained to be a marketeer. The reason I fell into all this marketing stuff and helping you with your marketing is because that's something I'd done in a previous life. So after sort of 15 years of being in business and working in brands and marketing, it was something that came natural. But what happens is this doesn't get taught as part of marketing courses. We get trained to be a counsellor, and then when you finish you either go into a job or maybe you go into private practice, but there's not typically any support to help you. If you've got a supervisor who kind of worked out marketing for themselves, then maybe you've got a bit of a head start on other people. So the marketing is not for me counsellor doesn't understand how marketing could work for their business, and what's more, they get scared. They're worried about getting struck off. And if you're a member of the BACP and you get a copy of the journal Therapy Today, then you'll notice that in the back of that magazine they have case studies of people that have actually been struck off. But never have I seen one that somebody did marketing wrong and got struck off. The sort of things we see in there typically is somebody that got a client to look after their cat when they went on holiday or something like that. So it's not really something that you're going to get struck off from. And what happens is, because of this fear and this fear about professionalism and should a counsellor really be marketing, they just decide that actually marketing's not for me, and then we convince ourselves that we're right there. I think it's about confidence, and with a little bit of confidence and a little bit of guidance and looking at what actually works for other people, so copying the right things, then you can get out of this trap. So if you've ever thought, well, actually marketing's not for me, this is one of the first mistakes that counsellors make. Marketing is for you, we just need to do it the right way, and it needs to be entirely ethical, and it needs to be entirely something that you're comfortable with, and the Marketing for Counsellors website will show you all that kind of stuff. Right, let's move on to the second one, and the second one is the qualifications counsellor. And what I typically see with the qualifications counsellor is somebody who finishes their diploma or maybe their masters in psychotherapy, and no clients are there. They're still working for free. They get very few or no paid clients at all. And so what do? Do they think, well, let's do some work on my marketing, let's come up with a business card, let's get my message out there? No, they do one of two things. The first thing is they actually go off and do more counselling training. So the counsellor that's done a diploma says, do you know what, I haven't got any counsellors, any clients, I'll go and do a master's degree in psychotherapy instead. Or they say, well, actually maybe it's because I'm not offering other services. Maybe I should add coaching or hypnotherapy or body massage into my practice as well. And all that does is makes it even more confusing then to actually find clients. So there is a way of actually adding on extra services within your practice that clients will see a value, but it doesn't tend to work when counselling and other things get mixed together. It makes a very confused message. So the second thing then was the qualifications counsellor, the second mistake that counsellors typically make. So what's the third mistake that people make? Well, this really is what I call the Jack and Jill approach. It's the Jack of all trades or the Jill of all trades and actually the master of none. There's no focus at all. Let's imagine, and you've probably seen this, if you go onto the counselling directory or the BACP directory and you pick a particular counsellor, it says in the next part of information what do you specialise in. And the Jack and Jill of all trades ticks everything, and there may be 30 or 40 options depending on which directory you're on. Everything from addiction and ADHD right the way through the alphabet till you get to XYZ. So some people just tick everything. And my thing is, well, how could you be an expert in everything? Surely there's particular clients that you would rather work with. Maybe you prefer working with children, or you prefer working with teenagers, or you prefer working with older people, or actually quite the opposite, you don't want to work with a particular group of people. So what happens is the Jack and Jill of all trades counsellor tries to be everything to all people, and then they could end up being nothing to anybody. So what we look at with this approach is, well, find the bits that you like doing and do a little bit more of that. Do you find that you attract particular types of clients? Now, the ultimate thing, what happens to the Jack and Jill counsellor is that they don't get the satisfaction from the counselling that they expected, and so as a result, they just end up packing it in altogether, and that's a real shame when you spent all that time and all that money and all that energy invested in getting this far. So